Hello there, and today we are breaking some more ships. We have quite a few available to us now of varying difficulty levels, but what I've generally found is that I prefer to do the ones that don't cost or don't reward too much, simply because they're quicker. The more expensive a ship, the longer the job seems to take, the more thinking you're going to have to do. It's fine if you want a challenge. Right now, I'm not wanting a challenge. Though it will still be a challenge of sorts, but not quite so difficult. Especially when they start throwing things at you like pressure differentials and just making it hard for you to be able to get things. There's some which have really tricky hull designs. This one's a really nice, simple hull design. I really like this sort of arrangement of just thrusters on the side, cargo bay in the middle, cockpit at the front. It's just, yeah, nice and simple. You can go about it just nice and methodically. You can rip through it within like 3/4 of an hour sometimes. So it looks like we've got atmosphere everywhere. The atmosphere between the compartment and the hull, or the between the cargo bays and the hull, these compartment bits, it's always the most annoying because there's no way ever to vent them, which is, yeah, frustrating to say the least, because you've got like an atmosphere regulator there for the rear cargo area. We've got another one there, looks like. There's often one in the cockpit, sure enough. But there's never one in the outside areas, and that means you always have to vent it unsafely. Explosively, in fact, you could say. Venting the middle section is easy through these cargo hatches. Venting the outside section is more difficult. You usually have to take like these cargo containers off and this bit at the back off. So, pretty tricky. Or you can do it... One amusing thing I found is that popping off the front corner there, after gaining access from cutting off the front of the cockpit, didn't count until I released the side. That was amusing. Anyway, without further delay, let's get into the airlock.
Airlock depressurizing.
And hopefully the atmosphere regulators work. If they don't work, that's the very frustrating part. So in we come. Is this whole thing the airlock, is it? It must be. Okay. We have airlock console. Airlock console, good. You want to make sure that one's not accidentally a door console.
Airlock pressurizing.
Because sometimes you get strange designs. So now this is opened up all the way through into the cockpit. So there's the regulator for this section. Here's a data drive. It's always a good idea to just take a bit of a run through. So the atmosphere regulator here is in fact broken. That's really annoying. We don't like that. What we're going to do is we're going to actually remove that. Because a lot of the time if you then vent the atmosphere in an area, the regulator attached to that area actually gets destroyed. And they cost a lot of money, so we want to keep those. So we can now close the door to the bridge, and then we can vent the atmosphere just within this space here, and it won't affect anything else. We don't have anything loose, so, because that's the main problem with an explosive decompression, is if there's anything loose, it'll just knock itself around and break other things, and that's not what you want, so we can close that door. We have a loose chip bag. You don't have to worry too much about loose things here, but what you can do is you can stash things in the airlock and then they'll vent safely. But we don't have to worry too much about in here. Door console, that'll be for that door, I guess. There's the reactor, we need to be careful with those. So we will be able to vent the atmosphere in here if we so wish. I don't believe we want to do that just yet. It's always really tricky to decide when to do that, though. Let's pick up that circuit. Nice. definitely want to collect all of these things. You don't want to cut open the hull from the inside. I learnt that the hard way, because that will kill you. You can use the scanner in the objects mode, and that lets you see where there's parts. The purple boxes are places that can be scavenged for parts. These things are just bits that are free. Where? Excuse me. Oh, there is apparently a rod stuck behind the reactor. That concerns me. And that's the thing, is sometimes you just get weird things occurring. That's a worry. Because what that means is when this vents, that's going to behave very unpredictably. And we don't want that hitting the... It looks like it's clipped into the reactor, in fact. I wonder if that's what happened a previous time I was detaching a reactor and it just exploded. I wonder. And the fuel tanks are right behind that. So we probably want to deal with that engine at the bottom before dealing with the reactor. It's very order of operations-y. It's a broken thruster fuel, which is a bit of a shame. O2 canister, I'll pick that up now. I'm not actually using it. I have the oxygen drain turned off in this mode, because why not? We're here just to have a bit of fun, more than anything. So, I don't know. The fact that this door is going to shut when the atmosphere up there is vented concerns me, because there's no way to vent the atmosphere down here. Okay, so we're going to have to explosive decompress this part. You'll have to excuse me just kind of mindlessly going around in circles, but that's just sometimes what you've got to do. These are all secured in the cargo bay here. You can tell because it's got the little outy arrow bit. So that means they're not going to jostle around. You're a part that I want. You are not secured. That concerns me. But I can put... Ah, the atmosphere... Okay, so there would be an atmosphere regulator here, but it's broken. This is the part that I don't like, is when the things are broken. I know, it's a challenge. It's not the sort of challenge I wanted to play this game for. So, do that. Stash that in the airlocks. Take this off and stash that. At least it's a nice big airlock. Okay. What else is loose in here? A soft crate. These things can be worth quite a lot of cash, so we don't want them just venting off and flying off into God knows where, or breaking. And you definitely don't want them breaking other things as well. So that's where the back panel comes off. There's a cargo hatch. So, okay, so the cargo hatch is how we safely vent this. Oh, we need to buy more tethers. Oops. They can be quite handy. What was that? Oh, we can extract rods from that. No, I'm fine. I think I'll prefer to claim that. Okay, nothing else around here. No, this is just an oddly shaped ship, I believe. An odd ship shape, in fact. Cool. Up we go. So, what do we do with this? Once we have blown out the air in the cockpit or the rear, then we can open up this. So blowing it out in the rear is probably going to do down there as well. You can also just vent by opening a door, if need be. That might be the safest way. For now. This is why I'm glad that I'm not working on the clock, because I can actually take my time to do these things. Excuse me. It's more of a blast than I expected. Okay. Can we fit you out of here? Kind of. If you didn't go on a stupid angle. Maneuvering things with the grapple through small areas is always really good. Come on. they never turn the way, because I've grabbed that corner, so you would think that corner would pull towards me, right? Unfortunately, that's not the way that it actually seems to want to work. There we go. Oof. And then we just knock ourselves. You can actually damage yourself quite badly doing that if you're not careful. But it doesn't seem to have been doing too much damage to me just at the moment. Oomph. Throw that down there. Okay, so the first thing I think we want to do, after at least clearing the airlock, we'll get the soft crate out as well, please. That came out a lot easier, that's good. Fire that down there. Don't have to be too careful with them. Where's the regulators gone? Excuse me? Oh, there you are. And fire away. Wasting a lot of thruster fuel. I really need to get more into the habit of using the grapple to pull myself around. But it's hard to do that when you're carrying something else. Theoretically, you could then like move with the grapple and then grab whatever it was that you were trying to grab. And then fire it off. Okay, so we can clear the bridge whenever we need to. So what you can do is you can buy some more tethers for a start. I think I meant to upgrade my tether count. Sticker unlocked, jack me up. Alright. I think that's the one of traveling more than 20 meters per second. Look at this. If I do this really fast, do we go faster than 20 meters a second? We do. There we go. Cool. Easy stickers, I guess. So we now have a tether. So to stop this cockpit canopy just firing off, we're just going to do that. And then from a safe distance, there's two more, isn't there? Okay, that tether will last a few minutes. And let's come down underneath here. We're way out of the firing line of any of the air that's going to come out. Hold our brake on. Okay. Whee! Oh, hello. Physics glitch. Okay. That's new. I've not seen that happen before. Apparently that just flat out destroyed the canopy. That is new. Oh, that's good fun. Gotta love physics glitches. There is something in there that's interesting. Oh, apparently that vented more than I expected. That's actually, that explains that. That's vented everything. Good boy. Oh boy. Why did it do that, I wonder? Is that just because this game is just a little bit... Ah, I forgot to grab the pressure regulator. That's another broken one of those. Or that just broke from something else, I'm not sure what.
Raw material deposited.
So these doors are now open. They just open automatically once everything's vented. I'm really confused as to why that vented all the way through, because it should have just blown out this compartment alone. And everything else should have been fine. Like, I should then have been able... Oh, that's what that broken unit was from. It was from here, wasn't it? Because there was the regulator in here, which is now gone. Which is a shame. Because that was worth a pretty penny. It's the big red bar that's creeping up on the right-hand side up the top. The doors are still there. Why did the doors there? Did I not close that door? I thought I'd closed that door. Maybe I didn't. And if not, that's my bad. I'll have to check the footage on that one. Well, that made our life easier, to be honest, and it looks like minimal damage overall. It's also dislodged that part that was stuck behind the reactor. That's now all the way up here, apparently. Underneath here, in fact. It was a rod, I thought, rather than a dampener, but either way. Okay, now we can start working on cutting this thing apart without having to worry too much about things. That's kind of cool. Anyway, that was a bit of fun. Not what I expected, but thankfully did not really do anything too bad. So, next thing to do is work on these engines. And these are a little bit tricky, but they're not too bad. They're a pretty straightforward process overall. The worst part is actually getting rid of the outside of them, because this big casing is really heavy, and it has to go into the processor up here. I hate it when I hit that little bit. I really wish the processors actually kind of faced a different angle. If these were like at 45-degree angles instead of right next to each other like that. Anyway. Down here. And then we got this. This has a little puff, even though there was no actual oxygen there. It wasn't a pressurized environment. That would be really bad and really annoying, because there'd be no way to depressurize that. So there's a bunch of coolant here. There's two, in fact, down here, which is interesting. So what we want to do is grab one of these out, smack against the side real hard, so now it's leaking. And now we can freeze these pipes with a nice good crackle. Top as well. You've got a fair amount of time before this runs out and before they set that in there. It's 300 odd credits, don't really care. And now we can safely cut these. Otherwise, you have to go through fire, which is fun, but kind of not what we're after. They will defrost and will start spurting fire sooner or later as well. What's that down there? Oh, that's the canopy that ended up down there. It was meant to go in the furnace in the first place. Shouldn't be wasting time doing this, because these will start to defrost. You can actually kind of grapple your way and then reel yourself down there. This stuff's in the way a bit though. Oh, this is a tricky one. There's lots of crud in the way. And now we can flush the fuel valve, and this actually does a weird kind of pressure thing, and it actually blasts the compartment apart, which is kind of odd. I haven't figured out a way to prevent that. I don't know if there is a way to prevent that. It seems strange. I would expect that if it was on fire, but when it's been frozen off, it doesn't feel like that should happen. Oh, I've upgraded my force push, so it's actually powerful enough, to send this thing flying. Nice. Previously, I've had them just get stuck on the middle there. In fact, it's trying to do that even now. Because for some reason, they get drawn towards the furnace, even though they belong in the processor. Who knows? You can maneuver other things and kind of physics glitch things to move things around. Oh, I missed the other coolant canister. Oh well, hopefully I won't need one of those. Like, usually I'll just grab this fuel injector. I'll give you a demonstration shortly. Let's pop the fuel tanks out. You can actually yeet them quite powerfully, which is kind of amusing. They don't rupture or anything. Cut these. So my grapple is upgraded, so I can push these around. I can kind of move them a bit. But what you can also do is pick up something lighter like this, and then you can actually move other things through abuse of physics, which is kind of bizarre. Makes no sense. You can also use tethers, but whenever I was tethering things, even trying to go to the far side, these things would always just get stuck in between the processor and the furnace. It's really annoying. But now that my charged push is, in fact, powerful enough, we can hopefully get around that. Spin, spin, spin. And you can hold it. until the opportune moment. That should just naturally just fall in there now. Perfection. Good. The big kind of thunk that happens when they get released can push the main thing around, so that's why I'm trying to do them before I clear away anything of the superstructure, because this still weighs like 80 ton at the moment. And the heavier it is, the less likely it is to be thrown around by the force of these things going on when I do the fuel line flush. Bonk. Which I still don't understand why it does that. Good, there's a coolant there. I might actually pop the thruster or the access panels off the bottom one as well, just to make sure I've got enough coolant. I bet it'll only have given me 3, so we're gonna have to do the fire on one of them, but... yeah, that's interesting. There's only 1 on this one. Is there any on the next one? I wonder. Also, did the previous thing actually end up in...
Salvage accepted. Credit applied.
there? There's the fuel injector, there's the thruster nozzle, there's the thruster nozzle. Where's the thruster gone? Did it actually go in there? I'm now paranoid. Because it can be hard to tell sometimes where things actually end up. There we go, Quasar thruster. It's right the way down the other end. Because if you're... especially when you get the fire, if you don't flush them with the coolant, and you're in a bit of a hurry, then it can be quite easy to misplace the thruster and end up throwing it somewhere that it shouldn't. Or sometimes you push it towards the bottom and it won't actually go in, so it's always a good idea to check, just to make sure that it's actually gone where you expected. Wait for it to come back and fire off. It should deflect. Now, do we have coolant? We do have coolant. Good. You only need 1 per thing. Oh, we've got 2 down the bottom here. And thunk. Really throws them around like nothing.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Okay, we'll do the bottom one last, I think. So once again, grab the coolant, whack it, pop it, freeze it, shake it around, bring it back here because I want to make sure that it freezes the bit at the end. But it is quite nice freezing the bit like the next bit back as well, rather than just the immediate bit. Fire that off there.
Material accepted.
I've upgraded the range on my cutter, which can be quite good. But I do need to wait until it actually cuts. That'll be handy. I also need to make sure that I don't accidentally cut the line behind it. You've got to be careful with angles with the cutter, I've noticed. So let's pull this. And fire that down here. Yeah, see, that was going to go off the end there if I wasn't careful. Okay. And now we can safely traverse once again.
Credits deposited.
So Death Star Trench Run or something. And we can do this. We can grab on with our other hand, but it does nothing seemingly to stop us getting jostled around a bit. Sometimes it'll come up with a crush warning just because it thinks you're a teenager and have the hots with someone. No, it thinks that the moving compartment is going to cause you a bad, even though it's moving away from you.
Applying
Well,
credit
you
to
know,
account.
it's confused. Was there another coolant on here? I actually don't care to check because it's 300 credits and it's easier just to slam this. One and slam, and welcome to the processor. And wait for it to clear that bit and push it. Good angle. Alright, and now let's get these cleared away.
Credits deposited. Salvage goal reached.
Pop,
Rewards
and
declined.
yeet, and pop. Pull it slightly towards, push.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
And once again, use the physics glitching sort of behavior just to push that a bit free, just to give us a better angle to hopefully get it into the processor. And now we come to the other side of it.
Deposit registered.
Around we go. And then tumble, tumble. It should just make its way inside. And this bit needs to be cut away from the inside, I believe. You are not going where I expect you to. There we go. Good. Right, bottom one. Before I get too distracted, let's do the bottom one. So that way, now if it affects the movement, then it will kind of kick it up away from the barge, which is fine. So, another thing of coolant, grab, clock. That is quite satisfying. And bring it in to freeze the pipes. Freeze those pipes, bring it around, good. Bring it up. The controls are a little bit kind of janky and shaky, but you get the hang of it pretty
Raw
quickly.
material deposited.
Just need to remember to actually cut these before you try and yank the thruster out. I have had an occasion where I was just wondering, why isn't it moving? And it was because I'd completely forgotten. Yeet. And
Credits applied.
fortunately, you can upgrade your speed, but you can't upgrade your maneuverability. So let's just grab on and flush. Use that body to move in strange ways. Cool. And that conveniently opens up, though there is a bracket either side of us to take these lights. Is there another one? There's usually one either side. Not this time.
Credits.
Okay. Let's just try and pull this around a little bit. There's actually a little bracket that's holding it in place on the hull. You can see that bit there. Ah, with the extra coolant, what we can actually do is then just pick it up. And that gives us the 357 credits that we would otherwise be lacking. It's not really wanting to move, is it? We can just get rid of the hull around it. It's probably the easiest thing to do. We have exposed the fuel injector at least. We can actually use that to reach everything else if we so wish. And we've got enough room here to be able to extract the fuel tanks through the gap. And just let it lazily fall down to the barge. And pull this one through. And just swing it and let it fall. Cool, and then we need to cut away the injector. And now we can actually use the injector and its helpful physics just to push these down. And we can actually break them free, hopefully, of the hull that's holding it there. Maybe? By being stubborn. There we go. There we go. I want you to break free. Thanks, Freddy. Okay, and that's got them down. So before they get too far away... Oh, there is another light. It was at the top. Okay. Come to the back and push. Ooh, that's going too low, isn't it? So now it's going to kick back up. Wants to go towards the furnace. We don't want it to go towards the furnace. We want it to push it there. Cool. Done. You've got a bit more of a straight path. Looks like. Ah, but then it curves. It curves. We can at least just use the grapple to stabilize it. Hopefully that's got... Yeah, it's got a weird rotation, but that's got it in. Nice. Now, these cargo containers, I think, would be the next thing to go. A good angle on the cut points. We should be doing this from the top, because then all we need to do... Oh, we need to cut these ones as well anyway. Cool. That's that one free, hopefully. Yep. Bonk. Down you go.
Salvage secured.
And slice.
Account credit applied.
And dice. And whoosh. Down we go. Cool. Now this big back bracket needs to be
Salvage
unfastened from
secured.
the inside, I believe. Base plates. That'll come with the hull anyway. Cool. So this is now a much more stripped down piece of ship. Next thing we can do is actually pop open these cargo hatches. This was going to be my second explosive decompression area, in which case I would have double tethered probably. But we didn't have to worry about it in the end. With the cockpit thing, the canopy thing, what I really needed to do is just cancel my tether when it started flying away, because then it wouldn't have flown back in and smacked into things. Because that could have been quite dangerous. But it was also not a very expected thing to happen. Anyway, now we might, I believe, be able to just pop off the bottom of this. And it should go down where the engine was. Yep, that looks like that's going to drift loose. We're also just going to cut these free as well. That's the back plate. And then there's the extra back plate, kind of the bull bar almost at the back, which is these inset things here. Make sure that the laser beam doesn't go through anything valuable. That is the most common thing that I have had for mishaps of things getting destroyed, like electronics or other things, is my laser angle going through things without me realizing. So we should be able to just push that away. Yep. Nice. And then push it that way, just gently. Wait till it's clear of the main hull, and fire it away. Yep, good. It's not deflecting too much. We can now pull off this entire back plate as well. And just give it a gentle nudge just to pull it away from the main, but we don't want it going to the furnace. Let's just pull it sideways and fire it off. Spin, spin, spin into there. Cool. And now the floor. Just drop down. We need to get it away from the brackets on either side. Once it's free of the hull, let's nudge it a little bit, pull it up, and fire it off. Good. So now we get nice clear access inside, so we can just start throwing things into the barge. What's quite handy there is you come up and get an angle looking down, so you don't need to keep spinning yourself quite so much. You just get a good angle to just pick things up, move them across, throw them. These lights I don't think are actually worth anything. I never seem to get any credit for them. But whatever, these longer ones I do. The little ones just seem to act more like status indicators. But I hate just leaving them just sitting there. I haven't noticed actually whether or not it then gives you some sort of destroyed figure if they end up in a furnace. I wouldn't know because I'm pretty diligent about collecting them and chucking them into the barge, so... Yeah, clearing this cargo bay quite nicely. Now, there's this hoist. So it's got brackets either side. We don't want to scavenge it. Is there another one? There is one. Does that mean there's two either side? It is, okay. Didn't realise. Pop that down, wait till it's far enough away that F won't try and scavenge it and fire it down.
Salvage deposit secured.
So now we know that there's two.
Credits awarded.
We'll just stay in the same place. That. That. Pull. Fire. Soft crates out of the way.
Deposit registered. Account credited.
Boom. 39,000 for each one. It's definitely worth trying to salvage them. Let's get this rail guide out of here. We're getting caught on the bracket at the back. My bad. Send that off that way. Nope, wrong one. Didn't quite get the right angle there. Sometimes they deflect weirdly when I'm trying to do a force push from far enough away. Nope, wrong one. Don't you dare. And this time. There we go. Got completely the wrong angle on that at some point.
Credits awarded.
So, let's get this one away. Let's see if we can do a bit better with this one, eh? Pull it up first. I will never understand how this grapple is trying to work. Like, if I pull this end, it should pivot up. And it did this time. To its credit, it did cooperate this time. It also started the whole ship moving because of that one little thing getting caught, even though it weighed nothing compared to the 40 tons that this whole thing still does. Game physics.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Bonk. Almost got the last of the crates out of the cargo here. You would think that someone else would already have dealt with scavenging the cargo before the ship even ended up here, but it seems not. So, cool. Unfortunately, we don't see any of it ourselves. We don't know what's actually in these crates. We get to scavenge some parts, but nothing more than that. Sweet. And throw. And we've got all lined here. Oh,
Salvage deposit
cool.
registered. Account
Pop
credited.
off the side panels now. There we go. We can actually start to free this bracing as well. Nothing on any of those brackets. And charge push. Whole wing goes flying. There.
Deposit accepted.
There. Drink. Push it gently free to start with. Just want to make sure it's not getting caught on anything. And fire it off. So, is that the girder on top? It is. Cool. So that should just be able to slide off if we just do this. Whoop, it went to completely the wrong place.
Valuable
Ah,
deposit
bollocks.
Penalty has
We
been
lost about
applied.
20 grand on that. Not much, thankfully, but yeah, I think I got caught on that. Never mind, no big deal. Sensor array. I did not realize this was also something that was meant to go into the barge, so glad that I caught that now. And then the antenna base, weirdly, just goes over
Salvage
here.
deposit confirmed.
Who
Applying
knows?
credit.
Who am I to say?
Valuable object accepted for processing.
Now we can start pulling off the consoles for the airlock, because we're not going to use that ever again.
Salvage
Oh, there's a
secured.
food pack in here.
Applying credit.
How? Now we are now going to have to start thinking about how we're going to get the reactor out, which is always fun. So this floor bit here first can just come off, looks like. We're just going to peel away the sides too, probably. This might not move until we move the sides. No, it's coming. There we go. Need to be careful with the charged push. I think I just need to be mindful that it's very powerful now, and it might go a little bit stronger than I expect. Now, can I loosen this off? No. Okay, that whole thing that the engine was attached to goes all in one piece. That's interesting. Okay. Ow. Yeah, I was expecting this to have a little fastening on the inside, but it doesn't. That's fine. It's at least lined up pretty well, that just a good solid push from the inside should send it straight to where it needs to be. We've upgraded our cutter so that A, it doesn't degrade too fast, and B, the heat doesn't build up quickly either. Oh, it's this whole side. I need to be careful that I'm not flipping into something when I use my cutter. Oh, I love being able to just fling a huge piece of machinery like that. That's really refreshing. Oh, this thing is just peeling like a right mandarin now. Lovely. I love the colour scheme on this ship too, actually. It's nice. Orange, blue accent. Go, nothing of value in here that I can see. Be gone. Cool. That's that whole side done, it seems. What are you? Oh, you're a bit of the canopy that somehow ended up inside the ship because of the sheer amount of physics glitching that was going on earlier. That's hilarious. Okay. So the reactor's in there, which we can probably actually take off this floor and just have a clear path to drop it straight into the barge. Yup. Nice. Boing. Spin, spin, spin.
Object processed. Transferring credit.
Yeah. Let's grab this thruster fuel that's next to it first. And reel it and fling it. Is that going in? Yes. Good. Cool. You don't want it to be too close to you for any length of time, that's for sure.
Credit to account.
Can I take this ladder, please? Thank you. Boom. Those are the easy reactors. The class 2 ones,
Transferring credit.
a little bit worse. A little bit harder. May have exploded one in an earlier session. Sadly not recorded. Didn't actually do as much damage as I expected. Obviously it blew up the entire reactor and surrounding area, but it was a very large ship, so we still had quite a lot left to salvage. I was honestly expecting just to, because I was trying to pull the reactor out through the thruster bay at the back, and it must have just knocked on something, or having seen the... Can you please just operate and go up here? Having seen that part that was kind of... Oh, there's thruster fuel attached to that.
Object processed.
It says 488 credits, but you can't actually redeem it or anything. It's just... It's lost that I won't be able to use it. I was meant to keep that. I didn't realise it was attached to that, because I was going to refresh my thruster fuel with it.
Salvage deposit
Just right at the
secured.
end, basically,
Credits awarded.
before I went in. Because you don't restock that automatically at the end of a shift. Oxygen you do, as you'd expect. Health you also do, I believe. But unfortunately, thruster fuel you do not. It's a bit rude. But not surprising for the company that we work for. Mounting plate, all of this is to go into the processor, so that's fine. Let's pull it out this way. Just slowly swing it up. Doesn't want to go up, so we'll go down. Oh, there you go. If you don't want to cooperate, I will make you go where I need you to go. Ladder. Bonk. The door console, I could, theoretically you can close the doors and cut them and you won't waste the $1,000 or so that it's worth, but meh. Did we clear that
Salvage
cockpit?
registered.
No, we've not actually cleared the cockpit yet. We should do that. Let's just pull this out here first, and whoosh. Oh, hello.
Processing object. Applying credit.
I mean, we may as well just peel away everything. Actually strip off the bit that's covering the cockpit as well. Cut point and cut point. Oh, there's a power cell there. Need to be careful I don't hit that. That's where the angle of the laser is very important, because I could have just sent my laser blast straight through that and I wouldn't have even realized until it exploded. Safest thing to do is just yank it first. Once again, no idea if these lights are actually worth anything.
Credit to account.
I just know that it will say destroyed on them, even if it doesn't actually deduct that much monetary value. It's not the point, damn it. Must have everything collected.
Salvage deposit
So,
secured. Credits awarded.
you have a pretty straight line at the processor already. So we're just going to give you a gentle nudge first. Make sure you're heading approximately the right direction and that I'm clear of you, and fire. Cool. You are
Valuable object
next.
processed. Credits awarded.
Once again, gentle nudge. Get free of the rest of the ship. And fire. And now the big one. Also looks to be free already. Bit of a nudge. Make sure that it's not going to go towards the furnace. And bam. Whee. And in fact, it looks like you're ready to go as
Object
well.
accepted for processing.
Yep.
Credits
Good.
deposited. Salvage goal obtained.
And we're already at goal number
Additional
4.
rewards assigned.
There's really not much left now. Pull you down here. Line you up and spin. You are structure still. Okay, so you're for the furnace anyways, that's fine. You need to be cut. And you need to be cut. There you go. And now, hello. What are you doing here, Mr. Light? Bonk.
Salvage
Okay,
secured.
let's
Applying
pull
credit.
this off if we can. It is coming, that's good. Cool. Take off that cowling and send it where it needs to go. Cool. Now we get a nice top-down view here. Get rid of the flight terminal first of all, and whomp. Send it down. Get rid of the seats.
Salvage accepted. Credit applied.
Better angle on everything else. Cool. The lights. Let's get rid of these status lights. Storage bins. These are worth quite a bit. 78,000 in a storage bin.
Credits transferred.
Seems I've still got some contraband in there. The lights. Ow. Sometimes it's just fun to give things a little extra helping hand. Storage bin. Try not to smack myself in the face with it. This is now starting to twist a bit just from
Account
any
credit applied.
collision that I impart onto it. Because it really doesn't weigh much now. This
Salvage
1
deposit
kilo
confirmed.
light can
Applying
make the
credit.
entire thing move. That's so stupid. Oh, whatever. Storage bin. Boom. Where did that go? It did go in the right direction. Good.
Salvage deposit
And there's goal 5 reached.
Account
There's nothing more to achieve with this, except just the monetary value. Cool. So now what we'll do is cut this door free. We do have some unfinished business in here still, actually. Which is interesting. Ooh, we can't get to this one easily. Can we get a safe angle? If we spin this way, then we'll make sure that our beam doesn't go through. There we go. Good. And then we'll just give that a little nudge. Mind your head. Good.
Object
And now we
processed.
can pick up these
Transferring
door
credit.
bits. Send that through as well. Now the door consoles will be unpowered now, I'm fairly sure. Yep. That's the airlock console. That's fine. Airlocks you can't really close again and cut free.
Salvage secured.
So
Credit
mattresses
deposited.
for some reason go in the furnace. I'm not sure why. I would have thought that that would be the sort of thing that you would want to put in the barge and salvage, but never mind.
Salvage deposit confirmed. Applying
Apparently it
credit.
goes in the furnace. So, okay. Oh, that was the storage bin. That was the storage bin, not the bed.
Salvage
All
deposit accepted.
bed
Credit
and
transferred.
now we get the storage. Kitchen cabinet. Pretty well appointed ship, to be honest. Overall. Food dispenser. I mean, I'm not sure I'd want the reactor being right underneath where I prepare my food, but you know, safety third. There's a sticker for that in the game. Kitchen cabinet. Good. That is cleared,
Salvage accepted.
I do believe.
Credit applied.
We can check our scanner to make sure at some point. Oh, this is brackets going the other way. That's interesting. Airlock console. Like, make sure that we salvage that.
Salvage secured.
I
Applying
guess because
credit.
this is technically the airlock compartment, so that's why it's a bit more reinforced. Spin it around here. And pow. And we are pretty much
Applying
done.
credit to account.
Don't really see much left. It's, I think, all for the furnace. So, into the furnace it goes. And because I've upgraded my push, I no longer need to use tethers to get it there. I'll just fight around a little bit. There we go, door destroyed, 1528 credits. That's what I mean by if you don't close them first and then cut them free, but meh, not a big deal. I think also the airlock doors, I'm starting to get the audio bug. I get a bit of staticky audio after I've been playing too long. Well, just as well, it's time to finish for the night anyway. Oh, hello. Are you a bit of the canopy? You are. Well, you want to go to the furnace? Oh, why did that not work very well? Come in closer, so I can fire you off again. There we go. Canopy must have just broken to bits. Well, I'm not seeing anything else. Crucially, there's no pink parts to collect. Cool, we're done. 53 minutes. Not bad, all things considered. Let's see what rewards we get. 0.1%. Now that'll be, even though there's like, so the doors didn't get did get destroyed, but there was other things that, like, whenever you make a cut through things, I think it destroys it, but because it doesn't destroy an entire piece, it doesn't actually count against it. So it's very rare that you end up with 0 remaining just because of the nature of it. Yeah, it was the atmosphere regulator from the venting, but that's very little. All in all, plenty of MP and LT earned. Not quite enough to rank up again, I don't think, but we're getting there. And yeah, now we'll see how much more of our debt we've paid off. Wakey wakey, rise and shine.
Cutter 9346-52. Your
And there we go.
designated sleep period
We're
is now
slowly
over.
chipping away at things.
Have a great day.
Ah, that's right. You get down to about the $500,000 payments, and then they slap the demo charge rental on you, and you don't get a choice. Once it's unlocked, you get charged for it. It's kind of rude. Reach a velocity of at least meters per second. We managed that. Cool. And we're going to leave it at that for now. We're going to sign off, and we might pick this up again another day, maybe with a different ship. We've unlocked the Gecko. We haven't had any available to us yet, but hopefully we'll get to do that and deal with some radiation, which should be interesting. We'll do that when I'm feeling a bit more awake. See you next time.